So guys, just another quick mention of the controls that you need when you want to run one of these flight sims. I mean, you can get away with just a basic joystick. Like I have a joystick here from Microsoft specifically. That is specifically meant for flight simulators. Well, you can use it for other stuff too, but it's got a throttle. This is your throttle response here. Increase the engine RPMs or bring them down. Of course, this is the joystick for turning left, right, dropping the airplane down, bring the airplane up. This is actually rudder control. You can actually turn this left or right for rudder control. And of course the buttons have various different things. This is known as the hat, which will make you look to the left, look to the right, look up, look down. Some of these buttons here can be programmed to look, have different views: external view of the aircraft, view from inside the aircraft, view from the tower, where you can set that up whatever way you want. There's a trigger in the front here, which currently is set for the brakes, because when you land you got to brake. And then of course there's 4 buttons down here that you can also set if you want to set that to something different. And this one has feedback. This one actually, when you land, it'll shake. When you're pulling back to pull the aircraft up, you feel resistance on it, on the stick. If you happen to hit turbulence, you'll feel the stick shake. So it's quite realistic in that sense. But we're not going to use that one. I prefer to use what would be more realistic in terms of being more like what I've actually flown. I've actually flown with an aircraft that had a yoke like this. This is what I'm going to use. This is more realistic to what I would be used to, as well as it would have had a throttle control up on the dashboard like this as well. These controls in the aircraft I flew were not combined in one unit. They were off separate. Some of them were buttons and some of them were actual levers like that. But the throttle is always a button like this, and in this case that would be very similar to what I had flown with. All your controls on your yoke are fairly realistic. You have trim and various different things. This wouldn't be realistic here. This is known as the hat, like I mentioned on the joystick a few moments ago. It makes you look left, right, up, down, behind you. You can spin your view. Since you're looking at a monitor, you're not really immersed like you would be with a VR helmet, where you just turn your head and you're looking to the left. So you have to have some way to control that. I can look to my left, I can look to my right. In this case, I'm going to have 3 monitors set up. And the 3 monitors are going to give us a left and right view, straight ahead view. And I'm going to use the GoPro so I can show you that, guys, instead of just recording with the OBS software, which would make us only have the frontal view. Now, this would be some of the controls that you would see on a real aircraft. You got your selector for your fuel tank, etc., etc. You got your master switches for power. You got for your beacon, your different lights and everything, your flap controls. This would be quite realistic. This would be somewhere down on the dashboard of the aircraft. Usually I think that's either, like this would be down a little bit lower and up on your dashboard just above it a little bit to the left. You'd have all of these controls. You'd start at your left side and work your way across on your controls in a sequence to prepare for your takeoffs. Everything's done in sequence, memorized sequence when you want to fly. You start from left to right, go across various things. If you have a problem in the air with an aircraft, it's the same thing. You've got to start shutting things down. I forget if it's you start shutting things down from right to left, the opposite order again, and then restarting it again. If your engine were to stop, you try to get it started again in the air, which is very dangerous. But if that happens, you have to know the proper safety sequence of how to get everything up and going again instead of panicking, right? So there's a sequence for all that. And there's a sequence for when you bring your aircraft in land and you go to put it away. Sequence for shutting things down too. It's usually from the right to the left, I do believe. I could be mistaken on that. It's been a while since I've done it. But there's other controls too. Like for instance, on this one here, I said that we have this is the throttle. If I wanted to, I could hook this up and I could use this as a little bit more of an advanced throttle. It has a lot of controls and stuff on it too. Many buttons and things that could be set up for different stuff. It's a pretty cool throttle. I could use that instead of, it just plugs into USB, so I could probably plug that right into this unit. This one's plugged into this unit. I could probably remove that one and use this one instead. But that's closer to what I've actually flown with, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to put this guy away. Okay, so you'd have a headset, which would be your headphones, and it would have a mic on it because you need that to communicate with your co-pilot or the pilot who might be training you. This is just a standard set of headphones. It doesn't have a mic on it, so that's not quite as realistic as it would be in the real world, although I could get one, but for now that'll serve the purpose. Like I said, these controls are fairly realistic. They're all plugged in and ready to run. This one's plugged in, ready to run. Of course, operating the computer, you need a mouse to select what you want to select. So I'm going to bring up Microsoft Flight Sim. I'm going to sit you guys down here. Hopefully get all 3 monitors in here. I'm not sure. I hope that'll work. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try to fire up Microsoft Flight Sim and show you what we've got to do to get going. First off, I had a little error there, get rid of that. So now here we are. We've got a problem. The last aircraft I flew was a P-51 Mustang, and for some reason that kept that as default. Well, kept it as default. It always keeps your last aircraft you've flown as default, but for some reason there's a little error trying to load it up. Not sure why. So I can go in here and I can say free flight, and I can get down here and say fly now. Okay, it loads up all your terrain and everything first before it does anything else. Gets that all up and running. And once that's up and running, then you can go in and select the aircraft that you want to use. You can select your location where you want to fly, set up any parameters that you want to set, you know, in terms of weather. If you want to just practice flying in bad weather, you can do that. If you want to practice flying with real world weather, you can set it up so it does that. I've got the graphics and everything fairly high right now, so it's a little glitchy in some places. But the first thing you do is you go to the aircraft, you select your aircraft. This comes up with a list of aircrafts that are loaded. If you get expansion packs, you can add more aircrafts, but I've got quite a few added right now. And I think I see why it's running into problems with the aircraft that I had last selected, because it looks like the service pack or extension pack with that aircraft is not here. So that's probably why it's not wanting to run off of that. So I'm going to pick the one that's closest to what I would have flown, Mooney Bravo. There's a Mooney Bravo GS 1000. I take this is probably the smaller of the two. That's a low wing aircraft, closer to what I would have flown. So I'm going to pick that guy. Okay, so that sets you right in the left seat in the cockpit. Now the next thing you can do is you can go up here to Views, and you can go to New View. You pick Cockpit, Virtual Cockpit. It'll create a new window. So now I can undock that window, or unlock that window, undock it I guess it's called, and I can move that window over to the left. Now what I can do with that is I can resize it so it fits the monitor. And then from there, if I click on it, it's got focus. Now I can use my hat on my joystick. That's what they call the hat button here. I can move that left and right. So what I can do if I move that is I can actually set this view up to show me the left side. And I'll try to match up this window here with the window that we have right there. That's pretty close. So that's basically looking at our left side. I could look more to the left and see the wing and stuff like that, but I want it to be quite realistic, or as close to it as possible. Being different size monitors is going to make a difference as well. So now that's our right side and our straightforward side. So now I'm going to go get a new view for the right. So we're going to go View, we're going to go New View, and we are going to go Virtual Cockpit. So now we have a new view here. We need to undock that, undock it. Now we can move it over here. We'll close OBS in the background here because we're not using it. This is a software that records directly to the PC or directly to YouTube, but we don't need that because we're using the camera. So once again, I'm going to resize this window so it fits the monitor as close as possible. Okay. Now, as long as we have enough memory and processing power, I should be able to click on that and go back to the hat once again. And now I can change this view so that it's going to line up to look fairly realistic as well. The dashboard, I try to line up the dashboard as close as I can get it to, that's probably as close as I'm going to get it. The hat doesn't have a real good grid selection, so it jumps. Like, I mean, I'd like to be able to, there's probably a keyboard command that I could use that would make this work, but I'd like to get this a little more accurately positioned, but that's probably as close as we're going to get it right there. I could come in just a little bit. Now our dash is trimmed a little more than I want it to be. I think I like it better like this, even though this is off a little bit. Let's try that. Actually, let's go up just a little. Yeah, so now our scenery sort of lines up a little bit better. So now I'm going to set you down on the desk here, and I'm actually going to pause just for a second. I want to go set up something for you here.